guys, and welcome back to the third and final installment of our big UK adventure. This was on Monday. We took the train from York to Edinburgh. If you ever take this trip yourself, it's the same exact train that you would have continued on had you not gotten off at York. It's just a different leg of the journey. We were pretty tired at this point, so we spent most of the time just looking out the window, kind of talking through what we may have done differently already. I was already grieving the trip being over, to be perfectly honest, at this point. But we were really tired and just kind of chilled on this part. It was about a 2.5 hour train, and it was gorgeous. Could not have asked for better weather. At this point in the trip, I was already grieving the fact that the trip was going to be over. It was such a gorgeous train ride to York, and now being able to see the train ride like this all the way to Edinburgh, I was in my feelings already. My camera was out pretty much the entire time. Obviously, some of the footage is a little shaky. We passed behind quite a few trees and buildings and things like that. But if you ever had the opportunity to ride the train from London to Edinburgh, it is one of the most beautiful train rides. They really did earn that title. But we were pretty tired, so the train ride was pretty quiet. And by the time we got to this point in the ride, we knew we had maybe like 30 minutes left before we saw what I was really excited about, Arthur's Seat. Through the tree line, we knew we had made it. We made our way from the train station a couple blocks over to Old Town Chambers, which we were staying in. There was a really great suite option that we were able to get. I got this through my airline miles, mainly because we had some other things that we spent the cash on. So this was really great. It was a 2-bedroom loft style, plenty of room for us, had a full kitchen, had laundry, which was really helpful, even though to be honest, as Americans, I've never felt stupider in my life than when I tried to figure out the laundry here. There's mom testing out the beds and figuring out where we wanted to sleep. And then this is what I was most excited for. Obviously, we had the view on the other side, but then we had the view here. That is Calton Hill off in the distance, but it wouldn't be a video of mine if there wasn't a time lapse. So of course, you guys get one of those. We woke up bright and early the next chilly morning. You can see we were a little bundled up at this point, thinking it was going to be a lot colder throughout the day, but it warmed up pretty quickly. We headed straight to Edinburgh Castle. We had a flex ticket, so we could use it anytime during our trip, and ended up just going as early as we could that morning. I think this is right after it opened, so not a ton of crowds, which is exactly what we wanted. I immediately made my way all the way to the top because I wanted to see the Honours of Scotland, which is the oldest crown jewels in the British Isles, so very cool to get to see those. And then we walked around some of the chambers here. So if you remember in the London vlog when I mentioned John Campbell, his name popped up a couple times here as well because he was actually governor of Edinburgh Castle from 1712 to 1714. So it was kind of interesting to get to walk through some of these historic areas and actually get to learn a little bit more about not just his history, but our whole family history, because we seem to have a lot of it in Edinburgh. My dad and I ended up going into a whiskey tasting experience and ended up finding one of our new favorite whiskeys, which is actually only sold in Edinburgh, which is going to be very difficult when we run out of what we ended up getting. Once we wrapped up our time at Edinburgh Castle, we headed down back to the Royal Mile to start spending all of that money that we had budgeted for and to find our family tartans. My dad ended up buying a full kit here and really getting fitted with what he wanted. We obviously stopped with some of the buskers and watched them do their thing. And I'll include some clips here of a guy who was just fantastic and super funny.
This one, right here, toss it up, Oscar, on the count of 3. Let it swing. Oh, come on, he's only little. Sorry about the view. It's laundry day. There we go. That's your target, guys. If he gets it right, you make some noise. Not for me, for Oscar here. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Hop. Put your hands up like this. Behold, I am your new spiritual leader. But you did a wonderful job today. You just came out here when 2 other children said no. that takes a lot of guts. And you know what? You did everything I asked. You even got inside the box. No one ever does that, Oscar. Perfect. Tony, thank you. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Tony. Tony, I love you. I'll see you back at home, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, this is your grand finale. This is my favorite part of the show. This goes right. The water in that cup will cushion the blow, and the egg won't break. If that happens, it'll be a first. One last thing. To everybody here who stopped and watched my show. Good timing, kid. Guys, if you stopped and watched my show, then you probably realize that this is actually what I do for a living. And nobody's laughing anymore.
Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall.
Well, remember, kids, in that story, Humpty Dumpty dies. Ladies and gentlemen, that was just for fun. This last trick, I can only do once. Guys, this is what I love to do. So please, go and do what you love. Follow your heart, follow your dream. This is my heart. Believe it or not, this little show right here is my dream. So before you leave, the exit is this way. Thank you, everyone.
I followed the golden rule. If they're good enough to make you stop, they're good enough to get your cash. So I gave him some money, of course. His name's Kevin. You can find his Instagram in the description. He was fantastic. But we grabbed some lunch, and then I headed off on my own to go to Tron Kirk Market, grabbed a couple of art pieces, and I think a pair of earrings from here, from a maker, and then headed over to Greyfriars Bobby on Candlemaker Row. Obviously, we love a loyal dog story, and especially because he looks so much like my dog, Sylvie, I had to go check it out and take a little offering to his forever resting place in Greyfriars Kirk. If you're not aware, definitely check out Greyfriars Kirk's, the story behind it. It is one of the most haunted places I've ever heard of, and some of the stories and things here are just really interesting, as well as quite a few people that are buried here. If you're an HP fan, this is where J.K. Rowling took a lot of the names for the story. Obviously, Thomas Riddle here. And so I got quite a few photos and just really took my time walking around. It's a very quiet part of the city, which was very nice. Just to check it off the bucket list, I headed over to the Elephant House Cafe and grabbed a butterbeer while I did a little bit of reading. I had stopped by Black Moon Botanica and grabbed a book and a new deck of tarot cards. So definitely got to get my little magic fix and then obviously get my butterbeer fix. Next thing we know, it was Wednesday morning. We got up bright and early. This was around like 7 o'clock in the morning to walk to where we were meeting our bus for our day tour into the Highlands with Stuart Tours. I 100% recommend. You're going to hear me say that like 87 times, but it was such an incredible experience. But we made a pit stop for coffee at Black Sheep Coffee and got to see the Scots Monument as well as the National Gallery from the outside before we met up with our caravan that we were traveling with. Obviously, Mom and Dad getting to kind of see the city as we were wandering through. You're gonna see me stop myself a couple of times here to let you hear from Keith, who was our fantastic tour guide. He was so funny that I couldn't not leave some of this in, and 10 out of 10 would recommend any day tour with him because he just absolutely crushed it. It was so good.
That's actually just an empty cupboard. That's where we keep the bodies.
So a little bit of background on the tour that we took. This was the Glencoe, Fort William, and Glenfinnan Viaduct tour through Stuart Tours. I included links below. We didn't stop by the Kelpies or Stirling Castle, but they do have tours that actually do take you that route. We just didn't do it on this trip. Our first leg of the journey was only about 2 hours before we had to stop. I actually think it was closer to maybe an hour and a half, but we were definitely making great time. Felt like we were learning a lot on the way. Keith was so knowledgeable, had a ton of Scottish history and how it related to pop culture currently, and it was so easy to follow along.
Now, there's only 2 occasions when you will find a unicorn in all its majestic glory. The first occasion is underneath a rainbow, and the only other time you'll find a unicorn with the horn is during mating season.
We fit quite well with the Scottish sensibilities and sense of humor, and so it made for a really easy ride overall. We ended up making our first pit stop and bathroom break at Trossachs Woolen Mill. I was about to say weaving mill, but we got to stop in and go to the bathroom, grab some snacks. There's our bus, fancy new bus, pretty comfy outside of some of the seats. And then we got to feed the hairy coos. You could go inside into the mill and buy a small bag of feed and go out and actually feed them. And a couple of the tours that we looked at, I don't think you were actually able to feed the cows. But in this one, we were able to get to say hi to them, get some cute photos. I took a few too many, to be honest, when I was going back through trying to edit them. But they were so cute. How can you resist? A couple of the cows were not jiving unless you had food in your hand, as you can see here. I think this is Hamish. He definitely was just like, great, cool, I'm gonna get some of this. And there's a brief moment where he actually comes over and walks towards me. I had 0 food in my hand. All I had was my camera, and no one was standing around me, so I felt like I had this beautiful connection with him for a brief moment. But they were so cute and just vibing. It was a perfect little start in our first stop before we hopped back on the road and made our way. At this point, we were headed into Trossachs National Park and got to experience the Highlands really close up and personal, and really felt like we were starting to see a bit of what everyone had been talking about. It was at this part in the trip, after our brief pit stop and kind of continuation into the Highlands, that it all started feeling very real. You could really see the size and the scope of these mountain ranges and really understand just what people mean when they say that Glencoe and the Highlands are truly unmatched and just magical in every way. So I'm gonna do the same thing that Keith did a couple times while we were on the bus and just let you enjoy the view with a little bit of music.
Left is the Three Sisters of Glencoe. From left to right, faith, hope and charity.
Similar to hikers along the Highland Way, we made a pit stop in Fort William at the base of Ben Nevis and stopped by Black Isle Bar. Had to stop and get some souvenirs. My mom bought a blanket here. I bought a couple of souvenirs for some friends. I think my dad also bought something here. But obviously great use of our time to have a little bit of walking around. We were only here about an hour, but this is definitely a place I would love to come back to and explore and get to see so much more of.
We like to call them summer cows. Some are white, some are black, some are brown. If you go in the little archway and go 5 across and 3 down, you'll find the man who invented crossword puzzles.
hour and a half at Glenfinnan. We didn't get to see the Jacobite steam train because it has been out of commission, but a couple weeks after we left, it actually turned out that it started running again. So if you go now in the future, you probably are going to be able to see it. But it didn't hurt my feelings too bad. I had a great time just sitting on the edge of Loch Shiel and just spending a couple minutes by myself in quiet reflection, which was very nice, before we headed to Pitlochry for our last stop. And I'm so sorry if I mispronounced that. My brain is not working today. But we got to learn quite a bit about Scottish and Irish whiskey before we actually got to try some whiskey ice cream that you'll see here in a second. It was delicious. Obviously, kids can't have it because it's got alcohol in it, but we got to do a little bit of shopping here, a little bit of a bathroom break, and then obviously a bit of a snack break before we hopped back on the bus to head fully back to Edinburgh. The Highlands turning in back to the Lowlands was certainly a bit of an adjustment because I missed the Highlands already and we had only been gone for maybe 5 minutes. I can't tell you how hard I tried to get a picture of that rainbow, guys. I don't think you understand. But of course, we made our way back, got to listen to some popular Scottish music on the route home before we finally crossed over the bridge to get back into Edinburgh. This was gorgeous. I don't think this clip does it justice. It was so shaky, but I was trying my hardest to get a good clip for you guys. Overall, I apologize for the shakiness because my Fujifilm was really working overtime here. If you ever want to know a bit about the actual kit that I used for these photos, please let me know. But the stabilization was not great. But getting to come over the bridges and re-enter Edinburgh from the north side was certainly an interesting experience, and getting to learn a little bit about the differences between these. As we wrapped up our time with Stuart Tours, we disembarked and headed right back to the hotel, but not before making a pit stop for dinner where we grabbed Baker's Mash. Did not get a clip of that, but totally okay. We were so tired at this point. My dad and I woke up the next morning around 6 or 7 before basically the entire city was awake, so it was really cool to see the Royal Mile almost entirely empty. I think we saw maybe a total of 5 people from where we were staying all the way down to Holyrood Palace down here. We didn't get to go inside the palace this go around because it was the opening of Parliament, I believe, so they obviously weren't open to the public. This is moments after my dad and I decided on the wrong path to hike up Arthur's Seat. We ended up taking what we like to call the scenic route and actually ended up hiking Salisbury Crag instead of Arthur's Seat. It was a mistake that ended up paying off because that meant that we had plenty more time and some really interesting views that we would not have had otherwise. So although it wasn't the intended plan, it was certainly a fun one all the same. We ended up then pivoting and making our way to Calton Hill and got to get there right around 8 a.m. So in the couple of hours that we had already been gone, we had plenty of time to actually hike both. And we ended up getting breakfast at Calton Hill. I think they opened at 8:30, 9 o'clock. So we had plenty of time to take some photos, do a little walking around, and really get the experience of seeing almost complete 360-degree views of Edinburgh, which was absolutely gorgeous. We made our way back into the city and parted ways, and I headed to the Writers' Museum. This was right around the corner from where we were staying, so it was a great pit stop. Got to go in and learn quite a bit of Scottish authors through the ages. Actually got a Robert Burns book from here to bring back. I had so many books that I had to shove into my carry-on to be able to bring back from this trip, but it was so worth it. I was feeling pretty tired at this point, so I headed back to the hotel for a quick cat nap, met up with my parents for lunch, and then headed back out to the Grassmarket area as well as Victoria Street. Did some shopping, checked a couple things off the list, and then headed on over to the Witch's Well, which is right outside of Edinburgh Castle. At the time, somebody was doing a little presentation with their friends on the history of the Witch's Well and the history of the witch trials and the witches that had been burned. So this was definitely really interesting. I left a little offering that I had brought from North Carolina and then made my way back through the Royal Mile back to the hotel for our final dinner at the hotel. It was delicious and the perfect way to end our trip together. Ended up going right to bed and passing out before we woke up early the next morning to hop on our train. We ended up riding first class from Edinburgh all the way back into London, into King's Cross, and then heading straight to the airport for our, I think it was 5 o'clock at night flight. Overall, it was a fantastic way to end the trip. We just got to chill out on the train. It was definitely a lot of travel for one day, but it was certainly kind of the easiest way to get all the way back into London. This trip will eternally be one of my favorite memories. It was a trip that I have dreamed about since I was a kid, and the fact that I got to do this with my parents was really special. But I appreciate you for watching. If you watched all 3 parts, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe and let me know what you want to see in the next one.